Hi everyone. I'm Sajivani Priyangika Vendakon is getting ready to deliver about English for written communication. I'm going to talk to you regarding introduction to communication as the first topic. The learning outcome will be explaining what is meant by the word communication in general, identify the main elements in communication process, differentiates between oral and written communication, highlight some basic tips on writing, list the common pitfalls to avoid written communication. These are the components you will be learning at the end, like you will have a vast knowledge about everything. When it comes to what is communication, I have to say you that communication is a learned skill. When you open your book and when you go to page number 1, definitely you can find more details regarding this. Elements in communication comes, that's mean giving, receiving, exchanging information, ideas and opinions so that the message is completely understood by both the parties. That's mean when you are giving a message, the listener has to be should be able to understand what you are giving. Also, like when I am receiving, I would be able to get it in a clear manner. Also, when you are exchanging information, like you are giving and receiving, it should be also a particular thing. It's an element, and also your ideas and also your opinion. It has to be there. So then only you can deliver a good message, even in written, even in oral communication. But here we today going to talk about written communication. What you should consider to get your message across accurately: the message, the audience or receiver, how the message is likely to be received. For instance, if you are trying to give a message to me, if you are going to write a letter or a document, or it can be an assignment, whatever, so I will be your audience, I will be the receiver. So you should be able to understand whether the way you are delivering it, whether I will be able to get it in a proper manner, whether you have delivered in a proper manner. So that's mean I have received your message in a proper manner as well. So let me discuss with you factors affecting communication. So some possible barriers to effective communication. So that means status or the role. For instance, equal status within a hierarchy, or they may be at a different levels. So sometimes you get the cultural differences. That means cultural differences both within or outside the organization. For example, interdepartmental dealings and communication with outside organizations or ethnic minorities maybe block the communication process. Choice of communication channels. Before you choose your communication channel, you should ask yourself whether the channel is appropriate for your particular purpose and the person or the receiver you have in mind. Sending messages via appropriate channel can send it out wrong signals and end up creating confusion. For instance, imagine you want to convince somebody regarding a matter. So imagine if you are using to send it through an email, like you have to see whether you can send it in a proper manner, the receiver would get it in a proper manner. Okay, so it's kind of that you have to see to it like the correct channel what you should use for that. And apart from that, we will be talking about the length of communication. The length of the message also affects the communication process. You need to be sure that serves the purpose and inappropriate for the receiver. Is the message too long or too brief? That's mean in the sense like if you are delivering that your message to me, if it is not not elaborated or you have not explained it in a proper manner, that's mean I will not be able to receive your message in a proper manner. So you keep it on your mind. Once you have done your documentation, whether you have written it in a proper manner or you are in a proper way of delivering, the receiver would receive it in a proper manner. And of course, the other thing is use of language. Poor choice of words or weak sentence structure also hampers communication. The same goes to appropriate punctuation. The two sentences below illustrate clearly how different placement of pronunciation can change the entire meaning of statement. For instance, if you look at these two sentences, you can see that woman without her, man is nothing. Woman without her man is nothing. So when you read these two sentences, like you can see the commas. So when it is a comma, that means you are going to have a short pause. And when it is the full stop, you are going to have a long pause. So by showing these commas, it says you to stop your voice and have a little breathe and to pronounce or to give your sentence or read your sentence. So try to read these two sentences and to try to identify what is the correct one. If you go to the next one, I'm going to talk to you about these disabilities such as impaired silent, dyslexia, and poor mental health, and also be barriers to good communication. So you should be able to into consideration when evaluating effectiveness of the communication process. You may need to use hear aids, sign language, meaningful systems and symbols to elevate problems caused by disability. So you have to treat them also equally. So whenever you identify that kind of problems, like you have to attend to that as well. Knowing or unknowing receiver. So whether the receiver is known or unknown to you also plays a major role in determining the effectiveness of your communication. A non-receiver may be better able to understand your message despite having insufficient information, as both of you probably have communication experience and shared plans. An unknown receiver, on the other hand, may require more information and time to decode the message. That means when you are delivering a message or when you are writing something to somebody, if the person doesn't know you well, or if he has not spoken to you, or if he has not read any documents of yours, he doesn't know you well actually. So there you have to inform everything in a proper manner. And whenever you are discussing about a topic, like in your introduction, you have to say what you are going to talk about. Likewise, you have to put them you having taken an outline, you have to put them in an order. So that's what it says. So the other one we are going to talk is individual perception, attitudes, and personalities. Sometimes the method of communication need to take into consideration the receiver's personality traits, age, and preferred style. When you are talking to a small baby, there's a way of talking. When you are talking to a middle, you have to know how to deliver. Or when you are talking to somebody who is an elderly, you have to know. That is what it says. Like when you are delivering, you have to know them, each and every person, with their age and all. The elderly and children, for example, have different communication needs and preferences when compared with the young adults. So we normally say when the adults, the senior ones, when you say, like elderly ones, when you say they are becoming kids. So that's why we say, like, even for the kids and the children, if you are treating them, you have to treat them in that manner. But still, when you are dealing with the young adults, definitely they have the capability of understanding you. And of course, they will know what you are trying to give them, and it will not be a big barrier for you. And is the receiver of your message visual, auditory, or kinesthetic sort of person? How do you think they will react your message? Can you adapt your communication style, shoot your theories? So that's mean you should be able to understand, according to them, whether they are receiving what you are giving. So that's mean at the end of your session, if you can't deliver it properly, even if you can't send your document properly, so people won't understand you. So due to that, when it comes to the communication is something that you must be able to deliver it in a proper manner, where your receiver would be able to get it in the correct order. And also the other thing is, we can talk about the atmosphere, that is mean noise and the distractions. For instance, if you take our surroundings, can sometimes pose and barriers to effective communication. A noise place, a party, for instance, usually puts a strain on oral communication, and both the sender and the receiver need to put extra effort to get the message across and ensure that it is understood clearly and coherently. So that means if the environment, if you are talking, if you are having the oral communication with somebody, you should know the environment that you are having, and you should be able to see whether the barriers are there. That means when you are talking, you won't be able to deliver it in a proper manner. So due to that, you have to see according to your requirement whether they would get it or not. So clarity of the message is a message conveyed in a clear or ambiguous manner. Your message, it has to be so clear, even in written communication or even in oral communication, you must be able to deliver it in clear manner. So this is what it says, clarity. So lack of feedback. Feedback is very important as it enables confirmation of understanding to be made by both parties. The lack of feedback can sometimes create problem as it can lead to uncertainty and confusion. For instance, when I'm delivering this lecture today to you, for y'all, I have to know is whether when I'm delivering this lecture, whether you would be able to understand what I'm trying to teach. So if you don't get it, that's mean the mode which I'm doing, it is not correct. That's mean it's incorrect. So due to that, you should understand whether you are delivering something or in written or oral, whether your receiver receives it in proper manner. Defining written communication, let me come to the topic. Such two main types of communication. Of course, we can take one as oral, the other one is the written. Of course, I'm doing with you, this is oral communication kind of a thing. I'm delivering a lecture through the media, like a e-facility to y'all. So you are trying to receive it from me. So this is you call as the oral. And oral communication involves conveying ideas, thoughts or information via a spoken language. So I'm trying to convey the message. I'm trying to talk to you about what is written communication and what is oral communication. Especially in this lesson, I'm talking to you written communication. So this is what I'm trying to, through spoken, I'm trying to deliver it to you all. So in written communication, information is exchanged using symbols, that is where words and sentences, share in the exchanging of written symbols between individuals or groups. It is also the presentations of ideas in a coherent manner in a written form. When you say the coherent manner, in the sense like it has to have introduction, it has to have a body, it has to have a conclusion. For instance, if you are going to talk about your country, for instance, okay, you would say in your introduction, I'm going to talk to you regarding the country. You would be saying, when it comes, it's going to be a broad thing. So what you have to do is you will be narrowing. You will be saying that even though I am supposed to talk about my country, these are the specific areas that I'm going to talk to you, and you will be taking them as your key points. And you, for your introduction, when you sit in your audience is so alert to know about what you are going to talk about, economic, maybe the education, maybe, whatever the things you prefer. Likewise, you would put it in the coherent manner. And of course, as a summary, you would be coming to the conclusion and you would give it as a overall, what are the main points that you can discuss at the end. So this is going to be your conclusion. Okay, I'm talking to you written communication stuff like it is letters, or well, whenever you want to send a letter, you are using that. Faxes, I believe nowadays it's not that much we use it, but olden days, I believe, before 10 years, okay, we were using this thing. And of course, email is very much famous in nowadays. So, you should know how to write an email and how to send your message to the email. And of course, the reports, and also reports in the sense like if your lecturer wants you to write a report regarding something, maybe it is an assignment, so you should know how to plan it in a proper manner. And the memos, like in the office it happens, and also advertisements. So these are the written communications things that you can find. And of course, the next one is to acquire good writing skills. So what I want to say to you is actually you have to start reading. That means extensively reading must be there. And also you should have note taking and listening, okay, and also sound grounding in grammar and vocabulary, supporting details in a unified and coherent manner. So if you feel like you are poor in reading, I believe it's high time for you to start. I believe you are not late for anything. And so try to read it. And also when you listen something, try to take it down. And also if you feel like you are poor in grammar and vocabulary, it's high time for you to start reading a good grammar book. get a good grammar book and try to learn about the active voice and passive voice and part of speech. So when you are 100% familiar with active voice and passive voice and part of speech, of course, when you are reading, you definitely can improve your vocabulary. So then and there, try to pick high vocabulary. You feel like something which you don't know, right? Try to have a separate book and put them in that particular book. I mean, like, you will know thousands of work at the end of your studying period. And why written communication? Actually, we teach you especially written communication that is for research purpose. I mean, that is, information can be stored and transferred. In the sense, like whenever you are doing a research, you know that there are chapters. So in your introduction, you will be talking about your background information and what you're trying to do. Okay, then again you will be having another literature. Then again you are going to talk to them about the methodology that you are going to talk to them, and again you will be having a data analysis part, and also as a final you will be having your recommendation. So I believe that you have to have a vast knowledge when you are doing a research to have your document done in a proper manner. So let me talk to you tips on written communication. Written is a complex process. There's no shortcut to be a good writer. So don't think that by doing shortcut work that you can be a writer. So you just start writing. Even from today you can start. Try to write something. It can be 100% wrong, but doesn't matter. You can still improve it. So, and read extensively. Imagine if you are trying to do maybe a piece of writing. My advice to you is try to read that particular paragraph. Read it several times, about 5 times, and read it and put it aside. When you are reading it, try to see whether you have it is with some high vocabulary. Try to learn it properly, see the grammar, what they have used there, and put the document away and try to write it as your own and see the comparison with the first one, the second one. So nobody can do this job for you. It is up to you. If you need to learn something, if you want to do well in your writing, definitely you have to start doing this thing. So nobody can help you. Other thing, as I always say to students, you have to read extensively. And also try to read magazines and websites and newspapers, pick some magazines, okay, every day to day. When you take the newspaper, you can see that there are some eye-catching techniques with the eye-catching technique in the front page. When you see the front page, everything is bolted with big letters. Try everything kind of in simple present tense. Read them and try to understand. If you feel like you are so interested, try to go in deeper and start reading. So that is, I believe, it's good for you all. And the written process, a well-written piece of work requires you to pay attention to the following 3 categories in the writing process. So when you are going to do your assignment, what you have to do is you have to plan it well. As I said to you, it has to have an introduction, it has to have a body, and it has to have a conclusion. When you start your introduction, when you take your body, it can be consisted with 2 to 3 body paragraphs and maybe your conclusion. But when you are writing, when you start your writing piece, and before you start doing that, you have to have a plan. So you plan it. According to that, you will be knowing that these are the things that I'm going to put it in my introduction. These are the things that I'm going to talk about in my body paragraphs. So kind of a thing. When you have the plan, of course, it is very easy for you to work along that path. It's like everything is clear. So what you have to do is you have to start writing, and then you write and then edit. Of course, you can't be a good writer for the first time. As I said to you, imagine if I'm asking you to talk about something which you don't know. For instance, if I ask you to talk about a topic whereas you have never heard about such topic, what you have to do is, we don't know everything. We are still learning. We are updating our knowledge. So try to read some document. Try to download some documents and read pertaining to that particular question. For instance, if I'm asking you, I would like to get some information from you about a particular country, maybe an island, that is Seychelles. When I ask this question from you, definitely you don't know much about Seychelles, but you still know it is an island, that's only. So what you have to say is that you are not going to say no for this question. You have to read, you have to download, read lot, and jot down the things and pick them nearby, keep them near you, and to try to take things from there. This is the way to write. So plan it in that proper manner rather than start writing. So spend some time for planning this. Rather than when we give you the assignment, do not ever start it on that particular day. Spend about, depending your time, okay, the day they asking from you the answer, depending, you divide it to number of weeks, okay, have your plan like the time frame, and according to divide it, try to spend about 2/3 of it for reading, and take about 1/3 for your writing thing. And pitfalls to avoid confusing language, verbosity. Sometimes you use too many words. Whenever you want to explain a particular saying, okay, you might use a lot of words, and your statement would be too lengthy. So the reader would make an effort to read it. So it has to be. You should know what are the words that you should cut from there. So likewise, so that's you call the verbosity. And the other thing is poor sentence structure. Correct, logical, easy to understand. So your the sentence should be very correct, and it should be very logical, and also very easy and to understand. Because when you are delivering, when you are handing over document, maybe your examiner, maybe the reader who is reading would not be with you, so he doesn't know what you have struggled to say, convey your message. If your message is not that much clear, of course the reader would be in danger. So due to that, you have to use the correct logical, easy to understand sentences. And of course the other thing is information is overload sometimes in documents. So giving so much of information, whenever we need something, we have to know what to write there. It is not that much necessary to talk about unnecessary stuff there. If I'm asking you to talk about that particular island, Seychelles, you don't have to talk about some other islands, because I don't want to know about those things. Those are unnecessary information which is overload. So due to that, be strict. Like, you should know what to write and what to. So if you want to get more further about that thing, definitely you can go to page number 9, 10 and 11. Please start reading. And challenges in written communication, that are new technologies. When others fail to respond, asking the right questions. So new technology in the sense like the e-facilities are there. So these are the challenges that you have when others fail to respond, in the sense like whenever when you are sending something, the others not responding you. When you are sending me an email, if I don't send you an answer for that particular email, so that's going to be a real challenge, because we will be fail to respond. Asking the right questions. So whenever you need, you will be asking for the right. So for this thing, you have to go to page number 11 and 12. So that is what I have to say to you. Generally, I was talking to you about English for written communication. So let me summarize it back again to all students. Like, English for written communications in the sense like you will be writing a document. It can be an assignment, it can be a research, maybe it's your proposal, maybe an essay given by your lecturer or somebody, and you should be able to write it in a proper manner. So for you to write it in a proper manner, by listening to this video, it will not happen. So what you have to do is, as I said to you, as I always say to students, please try to read some books and gather information for that particular topic and start writing. Even your English is wrong, it doesn't matter. So by making mistakes, definitely you can go for a good written piece of document. So due to that, spend some time and don't be lazy. Shortcuts won't happen for you to be a good writer. So what I have to say you is start with simple and go for complex things. So you will be 100% comfortable with it, and you will not be distracted. When you are going to do such thing, morally down or anything. So it doesn't matter. Start with a simple thing. Whatever you feel like, okay, I'm very much comfortable with this particular topic. Start with whatever you are so interested. Try to start reading that particular and read it and put that thing away, and you try to write it in on your own word as a summary. Try to do that work. So I believe for today I'm going to stop this thing for y'all, and I will meet you with the next topic. and think thank you so much and have a nice time and enjoy the lesson. Good luck to you all.